Now, welcome to another edition of News from Naboo with Thor's Lightning Takes. And let's get right to the news.
Well, we're going to start with the news. We found out yesterday that on Sunday, actor Ray Stevenson passed away. He was admitted to a local hospital after suffering an illness while filming on set for the Italian film he was working on. He was on set for several days. He contracted some sort of illness, was admitted to the hospital, and sadly passed away.
That's crazy.
For anyone who is not entirely familiar with Ray Stevenson's work, he played Gar Saxon in Star Wars Rebels. He was the voice of Gar Saxon. He is portraying Baylan Shin in the upcoming Ahsoka series as well. He was Volstagg in Thor.
He's been the Punisher, too.
He was Punisher, in the War Zone?
The Wars, the one that nobody saw, unfortunately.
And I know a lot of people said he was also Titus from the show Rome. He's had quite a number of significant...
He's gotten around, yeah. He
usually plays a type of warrior. He's a big dude. He's got that build.
Some people are just made to be, typecast as certain things, and he just has that look.
He has that look. He fits that tone.
Yeah.
And it's a sad thing that he's no longer with us.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, I wonder what illness hit him like that.
I don't know. It's absolutely devastating.
No, it is, and
he was 58 years. It's
58 years young. That's not old. I know some people might,
Well, I get sad anytime you hear they die clearly before they're.
Well, and so suddenly too. Like you just contract an illness and
80s plus. You're like, if you hear that they passed away, you're like, yeah, but they lived a long life. He's 58. I mean,
he looks like a healthy, guy too, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, you can see from the Ahsoka trailer. I mean, he looked like a burly, well built.
Probably, exercises, works out, keeps that that frame going.
And then he got some sort of an illness though, and it's just horrible. I'm happy that he was at Celebration this last year, that he got to experience the thrall, the excitement for his upcoming role, as well as celebrating his role from Rebels.
Yeah,
because I don't believe he's ever come to a Celebration before.
It's possible, but I think not many people know who Gar Saxon is outside of Rebels fans. So
no, but he is an actor that usually puts a great performance on the screen.
Oh, Volstagg! I love Volstagg. I thought he played a great Volstagg in the Thor movies. Yeah,
he does. He brings a presence with him, and I'm still excited to see what his presence will do for the Ahsoka series.
It's a little bittersweet now, and
it is. And then of course there's the questions.
That question that no one wants to ask yet everybody is thinking.
What does that mean for the series / movie event that's coming? Yeah, what was his character meant for?
Yeah, how big was his role in this series?
Do we know that if by the end of this series maybe he's actually not a player anymore? Or was this series going to leave off with him
could this be the
being
beginning
important
of
into the
something,
next season?
Yeah, something much bigger. And again, it's not the question we need to worry about right now or anybody wants to talk about necessarily, but at the same time people do.
They had no idea that this would happen, so there was no forefront of we need to worry about if this actor can continue.
Well, no, I mean that's relatively young and he's good shape. You don't think about that randomly happening usually.
Right, so that's going to be something we'll puzzle more.
I'm sure we'll
once the series comes up and we see all of what he's done with the role, how his role is. I just had a feeling from the first one when I saw him in the trailer I was going to really like his character.
He's got the same impression.
He's got that stature. He's got that presence. I feel like he's not Thrawn's buddy.
I just like the power he seemed to convey. Just his movements and, just kind of marching. Doing the hallway scene.
That was really good.
You've made it in Star Wars when you get a hallway scene. So he was already getting one.
Those sharp movements I feel like were really something that characterized it. And I'm sad that he's not going to get to see his character continue if it was meant to continue past season 1.
Yeah. That's an unfortunate, horrible tragedy. And, rest in peace and all that.
All right, well, let's move on to a lighter topic. We'll continue talking about Ahsoka. The main cast were interviewed and talking about how their characters inspire them and kind of where they stand at the beginning of the story. So Rosario Dawson, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and Natasha Louis Bordizzo, again, talking to Entertainment Weekly because they're cool and stuff, I guess. They kind of discussed some of the perks stepping into the shoes of characters that already have a built-in fandom / backstory. But first they asked Rosario, where is Ahsoka at the beginning of the story? She said, you already know these characters from Clone Wars and Rebels, so with Ahsoka, you've seen The Mandalorian in the Book of Boba Fett. You know she's on a hunt for Grand Admiral Thrawn. Obviously, Sabine's made a promise there's someone who's on top of the mind for us that we're looking for, but the man of the hour is Thrawn.
Do you think the reason why she is in the Book of Boba Fett, why she seeks out Luke, is to ask him for help?
Possibly. I wouldn't see why not.
I mean, why else is she there? She
considers him a threat. He is another fully trained Jedi. I feel like, yes, the answer is absolutely that she went to seek out maybe additional Jedi to help on this mission. She maybe thought she could not do this alone.
Well, it's Thrawn.
It's Thrawn.
He might not be, well, he is physically intimidating too, but he's more known for his strategy, I think.
And then you have Luke, who at that time is a Jedi, like, right in the prime.
Yeah.
He would be a perfect person to take with, but of course, she finds out he's building a school and he must not be able to step away.
Yeah, but he only has Grogu, so when Grogu leaves, does that mean Luke is free to help Ahsoka?
But then who's going to be in charge of the Ant-Bots?
The Ant-Bots are taking care of themselves, I think.
We don't know that.
I think we know that.
R2's probably in charge of them. The hive mind.
Probably. No, I mean, that's actually an interesting question. Like, why is she there? Seems very coincidental.
No, she had to be there. She sought him out for reasons. Did she know that Luke was Anakin's son?
I think the name...
but they didn't... I mean, yes, he shares that name, but that name is the name he's always had, and she didn't seek him out on Tatooine.
Well, we don't know where she was, too. That's the weird part. Like, we don't know what happens between her...
coming back.
In season 2 of Rebels, and then we have this huge gap until we see her in The Mandalorian. Mm-hmm. Now, there's a lot of theories, considering she technically kind of time travels and knows the future. She might kind of take herself off the board because she doesn't want to break time and space.
She probably would. It would be the correct action for a Jedi-type person to do, is to not try to manipulate time.
Yeah, because she sees Ezra in the world between worlds, and in theory, she gets out of there, and if she gets off Malachor and hunts down Ezra, she could warn him about Kanan's death. So she can actually
But she also
cause
would
a
know
paradox
that, yeah. But she warned against the paradox, so she wouldn't cause it.
That's what I'm saying.
So
she
I
may
feel like
purposely...
she secluded herself for a few years.
Yeah, we see her going down in the temple on Malachor. She might stay there for a while. I mean, that doesn't seem like the most friendly and enjoyable vacation spot, but that might be where she stays for a while.
No, but she definitely had some time to sit on the back burner before she could re-enter the timeline.
Yeah, so she probably hears about Luke Skywalker. That's a very curious name, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Seeks him out and finds out, yeah, indeed, Anakin's son. Because that's not a commonly known thing in the galaxy, obviously.
No, it's definitely not, because it was years before Leia was found out that she was Vader's daughter.
Yeah, but Vader and Anakin are not. That's not exactly known that they are one and the same.
Right.
People knew that she was. People knew she was Anakin's daughter.
Right, but they didn't know that Vader was Anakin.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. There's a lot of variables, and who knows. But it is interesting to point out that she is there. She is talking to Luke, and after we know she's seeking out Grand Admiral Thrawn, so stands to reason she's asking for help.
But it's interesting that not only do they mention, of course, looking for Thrawn, but she's kind of mentioning also that Ezra Bridger is kind of in the back of her mind too, though it seems her primary focus is Thrawn for reasons.
Well, Thrawn leads to Ezra, right? In theory.
Yes. What we do know is Sabine's character, the actress Natasha Louis Bordizzo, she kind of hints that her main goal in the mission is Ezra. They asked her where we would find Sabine at the beginning of the Ahsoka story, and she said, "She's been through a lot. She's still a stubborn cookie, but I think that you'll find her... At the end of Rebels, she was a huge part of the liberation of Lothal, and many regard her as a hero. But she certainly does not feel that way about it. She's only thinking about the obligation she has towards her friend. So she's got that mission in mind, not her status. She's got a huge journey to go on with Ahsoka, so we find her at the start of that. So she's the hero of Lothal, but maybe she doesn't feel like she deserves it because she has not found Ezra.
Because Ezra is the true hero of Lothal?
Ezra is definitely true hero of Lothal. Yeah. And
without him in the Purrgil, they don't win that fight.
She probably has an immense sense of guilt that they haven't found him yet.
Well, sure. I mean,
when she said she would find him.
It's got to be weird because she's the one who lets him go. She could have, in theory, stopped him from going to confront Thrawn and all of that fun stuff. But she lets him go, and next thing you know, he's getting carted off by Purrgil, and you have no idea where he went. Yeah. And he got carted off with a bunch of Imperials, so it's probably not going well for him.
She probably feels an immense sense of guilt and obligation to find him.
Yeah. Plus, I think they were becoming closer. I don't necessarily mean romantically involved. But
Ezra would like it that way.
Well, I didn't say he wouldn't. I'm simply saying at first there was definitely, she didn't really care about Ezra. Not that she hated him, but it was more like a big sister, little brother annoyance kind of thing. but they definitely get closer as the seasons go on.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's definitely a level of concern there for him, and maybe something romantic we'll only see in time. Probably, yeah. Let's be honest.
The actress who's playing Sabine also mentioned how she kind of got to know the character through the source material. She said that she watched it all with the intention of capturing the essence of the character and having almost this free storage bank of memories that they'd already worked so hard to create. So it was awesome as an actor to have that, but then live action is so different, so I absorbed it all and then forgot it all at the same time.
Okay.
It's kind of like she's learning to be somebody, so you're not constantly having to reference it in memory because it's just she's trying to forget it because now it's a part of her.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so. I think that's what she means.
That's
she's
what it
trying
sounds
to
like.
kind of absorb the character and make it her own.
Because you want to absorb their mannerisms and how they feel and think about stuff without having to call that memory up every time. You want to
Be natural,
become them.
Yeah, I get what she's hopefully saying.
And that was something that Winstead, who's playing Hera, said she relates to. And that she's very inspired by her character. She says, I see Hera as an incredibly strong and very complicated person. She's very maternal, but she's also this leader of this crew. And we see her as she continues on and she becomes a general. She leads quite a lot of people and she's becoming something of a legend in her own right. But she's also very soft and warm, and people come to her for advice and solace and comfort. And I think seeing those things combined is very unusual and something I really wanted to play on screen because I think it's such an inspirational thing as a woman or as a person to be all those things at once. She's certainly not perfect, but she does have all those qualities that make her someone you can relate to and look up to, and I like to try to be that on film because I don't know that I can live up to that in reality. But it's something I can reach for.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, that's what heroes in films are supposed to be, right?
Right.
Kind of this lofty ideal that you may not ever achieve, but you can certainly strive towards.
What's interesting is Hera is really a multifaceted character.
Yeah, she's like a mother. She's
a military leader. She's a freedom fighter. I mean, she comes from freedom fighters of Ryloth. I mean, her past is...
Yeah, she's Hera Syndulla. Yeah, so his daughter is obviously...
Mm-hmm. So she comes from a past of freedom fighting and standing up for what's right and being strong in that sense. But then you see her whimsical nature when she gets to fly. She loves being a pilot and flying. She's this hardcore general when she needs to be about sticking to missions and getting things done. But she is also the one on the Ghost Crew who's very maternal and caring.
Plus you have the Kanan relationship.
The Kanan relationship.
Which is complicated.
Yes. And then she goes on to actually become a mother.
Yeah, quite literally then. Yeah, with Jason Syndulla.
Yeah, and her story is interesting because her story goes through the books after Rebels, continuing in the Alphabet Squadron books.
Yeah, she's also in Squadrons as well, a little bit.
So her story is a little more a lengthy one because we saw her in Bad Batch when she was younger. We saw her in the Dawn of the Jedi?
Yeah, she's in Dawn of the Jedi, too, a book that where Kanan and her meet.
Yes, which is a really good book, actually.
It's a solid book. It's the first book of the new canon, yeah.
Yeah, then we follow her through Rebels and into Alphabet Squadron, so she's got a long-standing story.
She does, yeah.
Very interesting. I'm hoping they can manage to get all those facets of her correct on screen.
So do I. Nothing worse than seeing a character butchered that you care about.
Yeah.
Been there before with Star Wars, haven't we? Alright, well, I think that's going to be all we got for you this time, so now it's your turn to take to the comments below and tell us what you think of any and all of today's news, and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.